So good evening and welcome to the very last of the spring seasons. WOWDCG, where has the time gone? Doesn't seem like 2 minutes ago. It was September and we were kicking off and going off and riding on all these different routes. We've got one of our favourites from this season as our finale course. We're going to RGV in France, as you would have guessed if you've been watching the credits anyway. And as you can see, right at the top of the screen, we're out for 45k on a circuit that's actually 25k long. So we're not covering one lap, we're not covering 2 laps, we're covering one and about 2/3 of the lap. It's a full and a part lap, and that what this allows us to do, because it's the Donny Chaingang and we get to choose how our distances are, and we have a fixed point for the finish, we get to have a really good sprint. This is a course that has seen some very close finishes from the very front to the back of the groups. Riders really have been working to take that finish. You just have to excuse me whilst I turn. We've got so many gadgets on the go because so many conversations coming in already. From people who are riding, who are watching on YouTube. Don't forget, of course, you can subscribe and watch all of the Donny Chaingang, the DCG on the Tuesday and Thursday, as well as the WOWDCG on the Downey Cycling YouTube channel. And we have a cracker. It's actually Gritty Week this week, and we're going to be in gritty land on the Gritty Flanders week tomorrow. Now, before that, we have to head out and round the route in France, and leading the riders out there will be our yellow beacon. So just before we go across to chat to our yellow beacon, let's just take a quick look down on the line. We're just on 10 minutes to go, as you can see over on the screen. At the moment, none of our beacons down there. Do notice we've got some of our regulars in, people like Steph Rourke, Becky Porter, James in there, and our yellow beacon, in fact, just joining. I think you just see the beacon just shining over on the far side, that chevron. Got Monica Dew in here now. Monica, really fast rider, riding for the Wahoo Lacole squad on there. Nicholas Soden as well, another quick rider. And we should, in theory, be having one or two class guests, including a rider who's been on the World Championships reasonably recently, as in this season. So let's talk to a rider who's been up and racing against many of these riders all season and been looking after the Donny Chaingang. Let's go across and talk to the one and only. It is the boss. It is Emma. How are you doing, Emma? Are you in one piece?
Good evening, Matthew. Yes, I am. I braved the snow on the way back from work this afternoon. So perfect conditions here just outside of Sheffield for our last Women's Only Wednesday Donny Chaingang.
I know, and we do have to say we postponed the last one from last Wednesday to this Wednesday because the weather was cracking the flags, and now you're saying there's snow in Sheffield, so that says everything.
Yeah, you couldn't make it up. Last Wednesday it was so warm, everyone was cooling off thinking, it's 19 degrees, it's brilliant sunshine, I'd like to go for a ride outdoors after work. To here, it's absolutely freezing, and my windscreen wipers were wiping snow off the windscreen on the way home from work tonight. Well, so it was a good job we postponed it to this evening.
Indeed. Now, we are on the last one. We've had a fantastic series, and the way that the Chaingang has developed into tonight's ride in the WOWDCG, I personally am expecting a really controlled ride till the go. At that point, though, we know it's likely to be ferocious, and yet everybody seems to be getting something out of it, which is exactly what the Donny Chaingang is all about.
It is, isn't it? And you're quite right. The way the Women's Only Wednesday has been ramping up on the rides has been fantastic. And the riders now staying in to the pack until the go. People have progressed so far this season. It's been fantastic. But there is something for everybody, because as soon as I'm laughing, as soon as we let it go, well, whether it's a sprint or a climb, you can see how the pack behaves. But what I really love is the fact that the riders who are not staying with the front are forming their own groups, they're working hard, they're through and offing, or they're having a really good chat and a giggle and a social ride at the back with our red beacon.
Indeed, and this week's Red Beacon is Joanne Lee, who's jumped in. Joanne's been a regular and increasingly right up at the front and the sharp end, but also no shortage of people volunteering to jump in and take the role, just like on the Tuesday and Thursday DCG. So it is great to have that input, those riders volunteering, and to have riders back for the last one of the season. We've got a course that we've done regularly before. This is finishing at the Ballon Sprint. Yeah. And by putting it at the Ballon Sprint rather than at the Marina, it's not that downhill run into the finish, but we do have the kicker of the aqueduct a lot closer to the finish, and that has a habit of breaking riders apart, doesn't it?
Yeah, I love this route for the women's Chaingang. You know, you've got that fabulous flat rollout to start with that really gets the warm-up going well. You've then got the rollers before you go into lap 2. And as you said, Matt, you know, it might be a flat pack maybe when the go gets called. But then before that Ballon Sprint where the finish line is, there is indeed the aqueduct climb. And, you know, we have seen really good attacks go on that climb and stay away until the Ballon Sprint. And in other events where we've done this, we've seen the pack stay together. You know, so it really gets exciting having that finish line at the Ballon Sprint with the aqueduct just that bit out from it.
Well, going to be interesting to see how that goes. We're going to let you get those legs spun up and warmed up. You're going to need to warm up tonight because of the weather, the snow, the inclement conditions out there. So we'll let you deal with that. Thank you very much. We may well get to you partway through. We'll see how the tape run's been doing a little bit of work behind the scenes on that. So you never know. It may or may not work. So good luck for tonight.
Thanks, Matt.
So great to catch up with our yellow beacon, who sat down on the start line with our red beacon in the shape of Joanne Lee. Let's show everybody where we're going. We've talked about the route. Let's give you some more details, and let's jump in with our map from Zwift Hacks. It's a great route. We're in France. We're on the Route Grand Vitesse, the RGV route. We have a lead-in of 1K into the marina. We then head out around the sides by Mont Saint-Michel and over the island before coming inland and coming through the Pavé Sprint. We then go on to the Aqueduct climb, which is the red section, before making our way around to the Ballon Sprint. On lap 1, we drop down and go into the roller coaster. You see those sharp zigzags, real steep climbs and rises that are very, very small, but are steep enough kickers to actually split the group on the descent. If it's not careful, we then go through the Ballon Sprint, head back out onto lap 2. This time round, at some point, the go may have been called, it may not be called, and then it will be rolling. And then we will be up for grabs. We are going to make one little change because we know that tonight it is Joanne Lee, who's our red beacon. There we go. As if by magic, on the fly changing. That'll teach me to just switch it across from last week. So John Lee are going to be our red beacon tonight. Emma on yellow beacon duties. The finish is at 42.4k. And we are looking forward to seeing how that rolls out. How does that translate to the climbs, to the descents? Well, if we jump from our Zwift Hacks map across to the Velo Viewer profile. Velo Viewer, of course, powered by Strava. The inside track on race routes and courses used internationally and nationally by lots of the big pro teams. And this really is where we get some real detail on just what we've got. We start essentially just at the bottom right. So go across 3 squares, go up 1, and you'll see we're just coming into the start. We go along the flat, along through. The first basically 11, if not 12 kilometres are essentially flat. A little bit of a rise kicking out from the rivers, but essentially pancake flat till 12k. Then we hit the aqueduct climb. This ramps up, and the final section, it's only the final climb up and across the top. That's part of the KOM, but it's ramping up from 12 right the way through to about 12 3/4k. It's about 750 metres. Doesn't sound much, but it's enough to split the group if people aren't paying attention and squeezing together. As they come off there, we drop down. Now, the Ballon Sprint is on the bend at 17k. As you come around that 17k bend, you'll find yourself at that Ballon Sprint for the first time. So everybody get a good look at that before we then drop around and come down. And you can see those little zigzags coming back down into the start there, where the course has concertina is up. It's got crunched in and folded in on itself, so it really is a zigzag section, of course. Some drops and ascents in there, which actually will test the riders dropping down whether they can stay together. But, gotta say, if you want to know the details, make sure you jump on Swift Insider, check out the Zwift Hacks maps, and, of course, make sure that you are up to date and on Velo Viewer. The pro subscription is £10 from memory. Might have just gone up a little bit more for the year. Best money you can spend, because it really is a great way to work out exactly where our riders are heading now. We're going to drop across to the riders. You can see just lined up here, the clock ticking away up at the top of the screen with 1 minute 17, 16, 15. Countdown is on. Seeing some more riders landing. So it looks like regulars like Pip Morn here. Emma Gilbert in on the line as well. Julie Bratton's with us. Ruth Taylor. We've got Amy Gorn, or Amy, of course, riding for the Pro Nocti. Heidi Kias and Reg Chili squad, the finish line race team. Great to see Amy back with us. A really fast class rider, the road captain for that squad. But we've also got in here Charlotte Colclough. If you want to know how good Charlotte is, watch the coverage of the World Championships. Then you'll know exactly how good she is. Will she be beaten tonight? It looks like we've not got Millie Skinner, who's the rider who's been absolutely nailing pretty much all of the racing, but she's going to have a work cut out. We've also got Alison Kinlock in with us. Alison, of course, the rider who jumped in when Emma had to jump back to be red big in tonight. And the Aeonian squad out with strength in depth. You can actually just see them over in the middle of the bunch there. So we are going to be following our riders out as they head out on to the course. We're going to go out with our yellow beacon. That is Emma, the boss, who is our ride leader. All of our riders are steadily getting nicknames. And as you can see, the riders now setting out on to the course. Let's just keep an eye on Emma initially as she heads out. You just see this group just rolling away. Monica Jude leading them out there. Now, the riders go out from the pens and they make their way down the neutralised start, basically on to the line. We are going to try and jump in with some more of our riders. Let's pick on potentially our red beacon. Now, if you've got the companion app at home, we have it here. It's one of our key tools of the job. Whether we're racing, riding, or, of course, we are talking about it, then it's very handy because you get to watch riders. Let's drop some stats in for Joe as our riders make the way in. So, as you can see, we're watching Joanne Lee. Up in the top corner, just up there, it is the watts. So, currently just sitting just under the 800 watts marker. The revs, 79 revs per minute at the moment. The cadence, 79. Heart rate, 125. In the centre, in the white box, you can see we've got the speed, 32 kph. We've got the distance covered, 300 metres, 0.3k. 0 metres of climbing. Then, of course, we have 50 seconds on the time clock as well. Go a little bit further over out to the very far corner, right over there. You can see the map. Now, we are going to be moving that map about a little bit as we go on. At the moment, we're on the 3D viewpoint, and you can just see the riders are going to come into the right-hand turn to turn in towards the Marina Arches, the traditional lap marker, and often the finish for the standard DCG. We're just going to move our map into 2D. We can have zoomed in or zoomed out, and as you can see, basically that bunch is all together. Let's leave it back on the 3D map, and you can just see as our riders go in, there's the arch in front of them. So you can see they're heading into that finish marker. That is the standard finish for the DCG. It's not our finish tonight, though. This is the first lap started proper. We do one full lap and one part lap to get to our ride distance. Now, let's take a little bit of a run across and take a look down the riders. At the moment, you can see that we are just watching Joanne Lee. We can change our riders across and jump from one rider to another just by clicking on them. We do have a rider in Joe Jarvis in here, and we're just going to move across. You can just see just highlighting Joe at the moment in the Aeonian race team kit. Joe, a really good sprint finish as we were on the Donny Chaingang last night, and Joe got pipped by the Terminator. Terminator terminated Joe's top spot and relegated it into second position in what was an epic epic Flanders week ride, but Joe absolutely hammering away in and through, and really good to see just how well our riders are progressing. It's fantastic to see them in action. So our riders at the moment just heading out along past the marina. You see the ships there. So we're heading out onto lap number 1. The marina sprint times coming up on the left-hand side of the screen, just right next to me here, and that shows that Joe Jarvis at 21.67, Ruth Taylor at 21.36, right the way through to 22.04. The condensed times super close together because our riders at the moment just rolling out and making the way out into the French countryside. So let's go join them in some more detail live here on the Downing Cycling YouTube channel with me, Matt Payne. So welcome to the Donny Chaingang live here on the Downing Cycling YouTube channel. Women's Only Wednesday, Donny Chaingang, the WOWDCG is in for its last edition of the spring season. The clocks have changed, the weather is changing more often than I change the beans in the coffee machine. And guess what? We're up and running and our gang heading out. It is going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. Our yellow and red beacons tucked in with the group as they come in and through. And at the moment, everybody in here now. Alison Kinloch is up in Yorkshire. It's snowing up there right at this moment. So Alison at the moment going to be tucked in the snow. Alison, of course, one of our yellow beacons this season and in charge of the Donny Chaingang. Going to be really interesting to see how Alison progresses. Now, a lot of the beakers, Russ, for example, and Emma spend a lot of time on Swift, so does Jimmy Allen. Alison is the exception to that rule because Alison goes on the Chaingang and that's it on the WOWDCG, and that's it. And to be honest, doing an amazing job. Now, Alison was racing at the weekend in the Dirty Knuckle, riding well. Nicholas Soden just updated. I'm loving the weather forecast coming in, or the weather reports coming in, because Nicholas Soden, snow in the Peak, snow in Sheffield, sleet in Barnsley, wet in Belgium, and Tamara Deven, Tamara of the Aeonian squad, nothing in Belgium. Tamara, one of the Aeonian riders on. We've got quite a representation here. Tamara, teammate of our yellow beacon, Emma, as well as Joe, Chloe Gagan, and lots of the riders regulars on the Chaingang. Good to have Tamara back on with us once again, and you can just see the volume of riders. It's 4 riders in here on the Chaingang. Joe Jarvis riding for the Aeonian squad as well. Now, Pip Morn is one of our regulars. She's tucked in here. Just seeing Pip making her way through. Julie Bratton in here. Julie, of course, real fast rider. And great to see Julie riding in here. The Angular Power Team rider tucked in nicely on that left-hand side. So just riding in with the rider we were talking about earlier on. The rider who is racing here, riding here, raced the World Championships for Great Britain and races Esports World Championships on Swift. The rider here with a Toyota kit on her back, and gotta say, Charlotte Coldclough, really the rider to beat here today, if only by reputation of riding the World Champs. The fact that she's also incredibly quick, very fast, very determined, and can more than play the Swift game to its max. You've got to remember, Swift is designed to be ridden, to be played lots of ways that it differs from real life, including those power-ups that the riders can use to their advantages to get the right ones in the ride. And Charlotte, of course, will have that absolutely dialed. So going to be really in. So let's see how she gets on tonight. As Emma was just saying, it was epic to see it in the World Championships. Make sure you give that a play back on the YouTube channel. It's really interesting to see. You know, it's got Amy Gordon here now. Amy just tucked in on the right as I just moving up onto the front. Amy, really great to talk to. Amy, who's had the pleasure of chatting on the stage at the National Championships, at the Time Trial Championships at Tealby, just on the outskirts of Lincoln, and really looking forward to being back on the mic at the Lincoln Grand Prix this year. The legendary race, always a pleasure to put words to the action, and going to be the same again, I'm sure. So looks like Amy just keeping this pace nice and smooth at the moment, as you'd expect by a rider of Amy's class, riding very, very strongly there now. We have got Chloe in here as well. Just going to do a double check to see which Chloe it is, because there are actually two Chloes on the Aeonian squad, just to make life more complicated. Chloe Gagan and second Chloe. I'm just trying to remember which Chloe it was. It's the second. For the surname, I can't remember absolutely everybody. So let's have a little look. It's really interesting to see that Charlotte just saying the Donny Chaingang prepared her really well for the World Champs. Yeah, hang on, like heck. See if you've got anything left at the end. Generally, the attitude most people have for the Chaingang. Right, just taking a little bit of a look across. Just watching Becky Porter-James in here. Becky, another of our regulars, just riding in the blue, the LeCol squad there. Just nicely in that group. Just working our way out and around. So Steph Rourke with us. Steph, one of our regular riders. Steph in the neon camo. Kit, the neons of kit there, sorry, just tucked in and working well on the front there, just riding dead centre at the moment, and you can see everybody's in nicely distinctive kit. Not too many people in the same kit other than the Aeonian riders, making life a little bit more difficult between them. Generally, there are distinguishing marks. If you look at Emma, you'll see she's tucked with the disc wheel on the back there on the right hand side. Sonia Inslee just joining us. She's going to be jumping in with the group. So Sonia Inslee, super strong sprinter Sonia, riding yesterday on the Donny Chaingang, now riding in the WOWDCG. Another of the riders regularly riding all three Chaingangs when we have a WOWDCG. And Sonia, who rides for the Bolsover District in real life. Again, she's in a S-Works frame. It is the frame of choice by lots of the riders. Two deep rims here, so probably a little bit better to accelerate up, and definitely really, really get on the way in. Now, Charlotte Kolkoff due to race at 7, so I may have to bail early. Let's get questions in early for Sonia. This group are riding well at the moment. We are going across one of the on the way through, just going over the bridge, just taking a little bit of a look across, and you can just see coming off the island and making our way back onto the mainland, the bridge that we went out towards the lighthouse just behind. So Charlotte just says looking forward to more WOWDCG after the summer break. Indeed, we will be back in the autumn season. The autumn, winter and spring seasons are going to be in there. However, we are going to be back once we get in through the winter. The summer, we're having a break from the WOWDCG and the Donny Chaingang online. Don't forget, of course, there are going to be some real-life rides out and riding, and there will be some pop-up events as well, so don't think it's all of it. It definitely isn't. There's still going to be plenty of things that are going on. As Emma says, we're already talking about routes. Anybody who knows me will know that I am absolutely addicted to maps and routes in general, and got to say, it's great fun changing and designing routes. We always try and keep it different. We put in some of our classics. They become staples. Things like Greater London Flat is always a staple for the Chaingang. Also regularly this route comes in. Tracy, if you want it every week next winter, then we're going to need more bodies and probably more broadcasters to keep up. I have to say, the demands on our family and the workload when we are broadcasting 3 nights a week. It's going to be interesting. Tracy's not addicted at all, honest gov, much. Definitely addicted. There is therapy available. Right, our riders are well on the way, heading out round, just fracturing a little bit at the moment. I don't think because of any particular pace. That pressure going on. I think all of our riders more than capable of holding the pace that they're ticking along at the moment. And Joan Lee and Monica Dew just at the back of that group. Monica just in that Wahoo Lacole kit. And a scarily accurate avatar as well, if you follow Monica on social media. There's a picture of her actually riding on the turbo, looking like that, basically almost identical, apart from the kit's black. And certainly, definitely a rider who is at home in real life as well as out on the course. Now, going in through the crowds here with the Von Top in the background. There was talk of going up a mountain for the last one. That would have just been mean. So the group in and through the crowds out on the course. Now back into the quiet French countryside. So a message is just coming in on Facebook as well. Michael Clark, one of our regular viewers, doing a great job of supporting the gang and of passing. Wants me to pass on his thanks to the riders, to our beacons, to Emma, and all of the gang, making a great Chaingang on the Wednesday nights. And thank you very much, everybody, for making it so enjoyable to watch. So thank you, Michael, for your support. Thank you very much if you have been watching on the YouTube channel. So please, guys, make sure you give that a subscribe. Don't forget, if you want to support the Donny Chaingang of the WOWDCG, the best way to do so is join the DCG gang. The DCG gang is the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club. It is how we keep this rolling. We don't take any revenue. The names that you see at the bottom down there, they support the gang by looking after members of the DCG gang. With discounts, Gritty, with a giveaway this week for members of the DCG gang, giving away tickets to the National Cycle Show as well as T-shirts. We've got Grand Tour Coffee, who look after the riders with discounts on coffee. We've got 1080, the legendary Mr. Taylor at 1080, who has given away quite literally thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds worth of Oakleys and discounts and gifts and support, including the 12 DCGs of Christmas. Support the riders on the Chaingang. So many people riding back and get just courtesy of the generosity of 1080. Nonna's out there supporting the riders with the Milan San Remo week that kicked off the week. And to be eligible to get a hold of those discounts, our way of saying thank you for donating to the DCG gang. So basically just jump on. You can jump on for a month. You can subscribe. We always do a block subscription, which runs generally for 3-4 months, or in fact the whole of the winter season. We always make sure we put those on, and they give you a way of just jumping on. The other big advantage, of course, being a member of the DCG gang, you don't need to register for every single ride. So instead of having to register for every ride, you can join the gang, and the gang will then mean that you get an email that comes to you every week. On that, you get details of the giveaway. So this week it tells you all about Gritty, about Neil and Caroline, who are there and sending out the goodies. Also, they're going to be really busy. Caroline can't make it tonight, and Lotta is working tonight, but Gritty HQ, Neil is busy watching at Gritty HQ tonight, so just had that message come in from Facebook. So Caroline and Lotta and Neil riding yesterday. I think it could well just be one of them on Thursday. We'll see if we can take more back. All riding really strongly last night. So the email comes out. It's got details of the support from the people that you see at the bottom of your screens. It also has all the discount codes, but just as importantly, it's got the link to Zwift. So you can go straight in, join, register before anyone else. You get priority over anyone else. Again, just our way of saying thank you very much for supporting the Chaingang. You also get a heads up on the course, where it goes, how far it is, how long it's going to take, who is going to be our leader, who's going to be our red beacon, what the course profile is, links to Zwift Insider, links to the Velo Viewer profile on there, a heads up from Zwift Insider of what the course is like, and a little missive from me, or sometimes a massive essay from me, of exactly what is heading your direction. So you get that real beta in there, that information, that key info of where we're heading, what we're doing, what you've got in face. So, going to be really interesting next season. Hopefully more people joining the DCG gang. That it's really simple. The cost this spring, there's 1 month left on the DCG. That's April coming up. £25 for the month. That gives you access to all of the rides. You don't need to register individually. We still fulfill our duty of care by making sure that we get out all of the riders' details. We know exactly who's there. We discharge our duty of care to our youngsters, and got to mention one of our proteges from the Donny Chaingang, a young man who was out and riding, jumped on the Chaingang and his trainers first of all. Tom Lindley, ex-young Tom Lindley, not so young anymore. He took his first win on the Donny Chaingang. The first rider in and across the line last night. He was the first male rider in. Tracy Seeley, the Terminator, first female rider across the line last night. And Tom getting a lot of support from the riders. There was a time when, in fact, magically he found that shoes, clipless pedals and all sorts was appearing along his donations from kit from Russ, just quite simply because he was riding in trainers and tracky bottoms. When he first started. Now he's out there giving everybody a beat. An absolute superb rider. Always plays the game. Always looks after other riders. Regularly going to the back when he was building up his fitness. Now, well, he's just cracked taking the win. I'm sure it was the first of many for that young man. But we'll see who's going to replicate tonight. Remember, first rider across the line. Well, Charlotte Cockloff could be the favourite if we get in inside the hour, but Charlotte racing later on, as is Joe Jarvis as well, interestingly. So that is going to make it a little bit more difficult for them because they won't want to go too hard. They won't want to get tempted into something crazy. Will Tracy Seeley be the rider who takes it out? So the pack just warmed their legs up. Now we're going to 3 watts per kilo. Tracy Seeley on your screens at the moment with the pink band across the back there on the pink and 3 grey bands. The Rafa kit for Seeley. Deep wheels as well. Again, just being past there. Ruth Taylor just jumping onto her outside at the moment in that map kit. I think it is going to be. It is indeed. So the interesting colour scheme, shall we say, with the white waves on the back there from map just of Taylor Seeley, though, running the Rafa inspired kit for the Rafa Cycle Club. That lots of people on here with lots of different kit, which makes my life slightly easier, other than, of course, our AOM riders. So some really distinctive riders in there. Of course, Coldclough in for the Toyota squad, just took in the Toyota Creo race team. So our riders are now coming down. They're going to be heading in towards the Pave Sprint Village. So one of our key points on the course. Onto the cobbles they go. So now this is where things get interesting. Come sweeping around this bend, and we're going to be heading in towards that sprint line. And if people have got power-ups they don't like, now it's time to get rid of them because they're going to be able to pick up a new power-up. And that's going to pop up on the top of their screen, just rolling through with Tracy Seeley at the moment. Now riders just coming down underneath that windmill, just coming through underneath the sprint banner. This having the Pave Sprint reverse up marker. You can see again really close times, crazy close times from 33.5 through to 34.04. So less than half a second separating front to back, if my maths is correct. It's been a long day, so don't blame me if it's not. So they're just under half a second now. The group are riding along well, and just going to head out now towards the Aqueduct climb, and just we head out of town. You can just see the top of the map. It's just starting to appear. The blue of the gorge just coming into sight. We're going to just try and flick the map around to see if we can get a decent view of it. I think we're a little bit too far out. Just see top left-hand side of the map. So all of our riders touching on our Red Beacon, having a relatively steady job at the moment. The Red Beacon there to not just come up with great drinks and snacks on the bus at the back. The bus at the back of any peloton, any race. The autobus, it's the red bus on the Donny Chaingang. It has tickets are free and really easy to join. All you do is drop off the back of the group and join the red beacon and ride at a sensible pace into the finish rather than ripping your legs off. Although the number of times the red bus suddenly finds some nitrox and accelerates its way through the final line, it can still be quite quick at the back. There have been some very fast red buses out there. So we'll see whether they do that tonight. Will it be a Ferrari-inspired red bus after the start to the F1 season? Could well be a Rosso red bus tonight. We'll see how we go on, see how those time gaps are. Our riders now starting on this climb. Now, if you remember that fellow viewer profile, we're going up on to the climb. It's just slightly steppy as we go through these early sections, and the riders are making the way up and in. We just sit with our red beacons coming around this turn, and again, the next kicker coming in. So essentially, we take the turn up on to the rise. We do a riser after the left turns. We do the tread, the flat section after the right turn. And then it will kick again. You can just about make out the banner in the distance, but our riders all together as they come up here. This is not what it's going to look like when we come through. Once that plunger is pressed, once the trigger is pulled by our yellow beacon, this group are riding well all together at the moment. And you can just see sweeping the way up towards the aqueduct in the shadow of the Von top, the Von 2 replica just in the background, as we see the birds circling up over the top, riding on the thermals. It's not quite the red kites that you catch around the UK. They're a little bit bigger than that out in France, but great to see. The scenery really is so well recreated here in Swift. Not all based on the same place, and with the power of it being an esports game. Of course, we see lots of the course being changed or magically getting transported across various sections. Of course, Watopia, a totally random world. But this group just coming in, and as you can see, going over the three-tier viaduct as they come in and through. So over the top of the gorge to go, and now into the descent. Now, when we come around on lap number 2, this is where it's going to get really interesting, because this kicker up here is generally where it splits. Then you've got to be prepared to push on over the top, and that is when gaps open. Once a gap opens, it's almost impossible to close that down. You've really got to be really on it, right on the button to stay in that slipstream, because once that gap goes, just seeing Emma just drifting off back, she's having to push to squeeze back onto the back of that group. So the gang working well. Now coming out from the aqueduct, and this is the run towards the finish that our riders have to face. We're just going to jump in with Charlotte Coldclough, the Great Britain rider out at the World Championships. Just tucked in here, 116 beats per minute from Charlotte, 85 revs per minute. And she's now spinning those legs. Great to see Charlotte coming back to support the final WOWDCG of the spring season. And our riders just coming in through the crowds there, just through the hamlet at the side. And we're now going to head in. And you can see, once we got over that aqueduct, we've just got some really rolly roads. We just descend down off the aqueduct, then it just rolls with slight increases and decreases in gradients. Now, yellow beacon is called to go up to 3 watts per kilo. That is actually quite tough once it goes, although the WOWDCG has ramped its way all the way through to 4. In fact, I think it may well be 4.5 watts per kilo before we've had a go before, but the ride designed around the riders who are on it. No point in designing a ride for somebody who's not there. So that's why our beacons have the plunger, the trigger pulling left on their shoulders and their shoulders alone. They basically put in there. No matter how hard I try, believe me, I do. Very hard to influence any of our beacons to let it go to a set point. They just don't do it. And to be honest, don't blame them, because you've got to feel how the ride is going. You're right in there. You're putting the pressure on. You know how hard it's going. And you're right in the mix. You can almost sense how hard riders are working. It may be an esports platform. You might be sat in your own pain cave, but really easy to see how everybody is working. Be careful before I destroy the studio around me. It's only got less than a month for the Chaingang. There are lots of gigs planned, lots of remote commentary coming up, and still in negotiations for some, but lots of confirmed gigs. All of the national crit series going to be yours truly on the mic for Lincoln Grand Prix, as we've mentioned before. Going to be have the pleasure of being on there. So the whole of the crit series is essentially going to be Otley, Ilkley. It's going to be Colne, it's going to be Barnsley, it's going to be Newark, it's going to be Sheffield. At the moment, those are the confirmed ones. Going to be looking forward to being on the mic for those. Looking forward as well to being at Lincoln, as we said. Also got some support from ourselves at Full Speed Events. Myself and Emma will both be out and working up at the Scarborough Festival of Cycling. And that incorporates the National Youth Champs. That's going to be out and around the Oliver's Mount circuit. It's going to have an XCE, the mountain bike XCE, the Eliminator format racing on the Saturday, also a hill climb. And we are going to be supporting that, going to be sponsoring the event, and a bit of investment from ourselves in there, because it's a really good mixed format for people who ride bikes, which is great to see in a great place. Confirmed are the XCE mountain bikes, so the UCI Mountain Bike XCE World Cup and World Championships. I'm going to be bringing you all of those. That's going out on the City Mountain Bike YouTube channels, as well as the UCI YouTube channels as well. Really looking forward to putting words to the action in that, and lots more to come. So please don't forget to give me a follow. That's Matt Fixpain on Facebook, on Strava, and on Swift. Those are the three key platforms. You do it on Strava because you get to see exactly how often we go out with the Trail Dog, and Indy the Trail Dog featuring heavily on Strava, oddly enough. And also, of course, got if you follow me on Swift, you'll also discover where some of our routes going, particularly through the summer when we're doing a lot of the planning for the routes. You'll often find a little bit of a secret recce going on that we don't tell people necessarily about, but you can work it out from there. And of course on Facebook, because then you get to catch up with everything. I'm sure most people are already on the Facebook pages of the Donny Chaingang, a key part of the community, supporting everybody else. So here we go. The riders just rolling in and through. So just taking a little bit of a look at this group here, and you can just see Amy Gold just get a shout from the gang there on the message board. So Monica Dew said hey, and the riders who ride together on the road regularly get to bump into each other out on the roads of Zwift. Now, before we go to our yellow beacon, we are going to show you the run in. This is now the final few 100 metres in to the finish. This little bit of a rise as we come in, this sweeping right-hand band. We come around the junction. You can just see the board starting for the run in to that sprint. The rider's side view, well, they're going to be looking at it, and they can get a little bit of a view of it coming up. You've got this little kicker here. Watch the gradient top right-hand side of your screen. 4%, 5%. Then it drops back off again as you go up and over the bump. You then drop. You've got another rise coming up. So we drop down at 4%. We then go into this next kicker. You can see that's a gradient changing again. This one goes up to 4% again. And then you have another drop down before we go on to the final ramp into the finish. It's a really tricky sprint to deal with. The time ticking down at the moment, just covering 31 minutes as we hit the line, almost exactly there. And that's a little bit of a raise, and then a drop, definitely spreading the riders out. So that's our finish line next time around. And that time of 30 seconds, I suspect, will get blatted into oblivion, to be brutally honest, next time around. Now, before we go too much further down the road, let's catch up with our yellow beacon, Emma, who's currently just spinning the legs around on that specialised Wenger in the game. It's not a specialised Wenger in real life, though. Emma, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. It's definitely not a specialised Wenger in real life.
So, if you don't mind, just tell everybody what you actually ride on Zwift.
My real life road bike is a 12-year-old Planet X that I bought on a ride to work scheme. And
was that your first road bike, proper road bike?
No, it wasn't. It was my first brand new road bike to me.
Excellent. And that's now lives permanently, semi-permanently in the pain caves, is it?
It does. So it did come out and do a in real life time trial last summer.
Steady. Don't. You didn't get a nosebleed or anything, did you? You know, because you actually went outdoors.
No, but I do think the bike had a bit of a shock to the system.
Well, you never know. You might get a bit more riding in this year, particularly with the opening up of borders. You never know. You might be heading to France if you're really lucky. The sunshine and sunflowers here may well be tempting you in that direction. The ride tonight, really controlled. You've gone up in pace. It's been picking up. The group's picking up. I know you've got a few riders going off to race. Going to be interesting to see if you can get round. You're 30 minutes in at a steady pace and you're not back to the line. However, I suspect the last half will be a little bit quicker than this.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the actual pace of the group has been moving. It's really quick. You know, we're 19k in. We've just lifted it to 3.5 watts per kilo. It's going to be tight, and I don't think we'll make it in the hour, but it's going to be close.
Well, we'll see. A lot of that is going to depend on where that pin is pulled. Remember, of course, finishing at that Ballon Sprint, those roller coasters, that 4-5% ascent, 40%, 4-5%, 40%, and then that little kick to the line. It really makes it hard, doesn't it, when you're sprinting into that finish?
It does. It's not a flat sprint in. And whether it comes in as a group or whether it comes in ones and twos is really important for that finish line.
Definitely, and it's going to be interesting to see if we get riders like Charlotte Colclough and Joe Jarvis who are due to race, whether they rip it up early as part of their warm-up and then jump off, and that could really affect how the dynamics of the ride are. Not that I'm suggesting they do that for a second, honest gov, much, but it could be very entertaining once that go happens. So I'm going to let you disappear off before anybody thinks we've already said it, and try and keep everybody together to that point down the gorge, which is a little tricky, isn't it?
It is, and we're sat at 3.5 watts per kilo, so when the rollers really start to come thick and fast, it's challenging.
Well, good luck, enjoy, and I'm sure everybody will be making the most of the last WOWDCG of spring.
Thanks, Matt.
So great to catch up with Emma out on the ride. This group still holding together nicely here. And our riders tucked in. John Lee just keeping a check on the back. Just doing an amazing job. Our red beacons, absolutely. It's one of the hardest jobs in lots of ways. It's actually a lot harder than yellow. Yellow is about watching the front of the group, the pace, making sure you get that judged right. Don't need to watch the back, though, as much when you've got a red beacon working absolutely superb. And you've got to say the people who volunteered to do, the riders who volunteered to do our red beacon duties do an amazing job. They keep those groups together. And they keep the pack working well. They bring riders up. They provide motivation. And quite often are having to put in much, much harder work because they're off the back, losing the draft, coming forward, going off the back, coming forward. And that constant yo-yo is really, really tough on our riders. And that is why the red beacon is tough. But as with most things, the harder it is, the more rewarding it is. And generally, still having the breath to message as well, although I'm not sure that's true for everybody. So, question is, how are we going to get a downhill release on the way down through the gorge? That'd be really mean. Are we going to go on the flat? Are we going to be waiting until we got the far side? Looks like everybody at the moment all riding well, so nobody suffering too much at the moment. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens once the trigger is pulled. As you can see from the map at the top, we are just about to come in to that zigzag section. Let's pull the map. You can just see it really compressing up. The concertina folds just really packed in as go down the side. So looks like Amy gone on a slightly different time zone to everybody else, just saying in there. So Steph Rock just having a short one tonight, so good to have you on the ride, Steph. As always, Steph, one of our regulars on the Donny Chaingang. Thank you so much, Steph, for joining us tonight. So the other week on Donny Chaingang, it was indeed let go on the downhill after the big climb. It was a real fast downhill release coming over the top. The rider leader that would do a thing like that, that would be Jimmy Allen the Wolf. He really did mix it up. I mean, let's face it, you can't have these lightweight climbers having it all their own way. I was definitely applauding as he did that and giving the bigger riders a chance to really make it hard for the lightweights on the way down. So into the gorge we go. This is where things get really interesting. You can just see these twists and turns that the riders negotiate. Now, Emma says you never worked so hard on a downhill section. Are you sure about that? There's been a few where you've been following me on some downhills, and I've been engaging pizza power to drag me down that hill a little bit faster. Pizza and Peroni power, perfect for downhills. So just in with Chloe from the Aeonian squad at the moment. You can just see on that pink Tron bike just riding nice and smoothly here. You can see the gang just keeping those revs nice and smooth. The power not fluctuating too much despite these rises and falls. Alison Kinlock just moves up on the left-hand side here. Gilbert just at the back of this group. And looks to me like Super Sprinter Sonia now starting to consider going out to play. Kinlock goes up over the top. Amy Gornall tucked in there as well. Just flying our drone in through the walls, something you can't do in real life, thank goodness. Now the yellow beacon just rolls up towards the front. Emma with that disc wheel set up on there. It's essentially a flat course, and to be honest, I'm quite surprised we haven't seen more of the disc setups on here. Just in with Amy Gornall at the moment, the finish line racing a rider ready for that Pro Noctis Heidi Kias in Red Chili squad, plus a multitude of others. Rota now joining the sponsors of the squad. They're man in charge, it is Rick Lister, and Rick very good. I mean, does such great value for the sponsors of the team. Lots of exposure, lots of social media, and lots of opportunities to get involved with the team. So don't forget to get in touch. Support the squads out there. It's absolutely key. Without the support, none of the racing happens. That's support for the teams, for the rides, and similar. Now, just seeing Emma go, I think Emma just starting to feel the pressure of these roller coasters here. Currently at 2 seconds, the pace just starting to pull that group clear, and Gilbert's going to have to work to just jump on to the back. You can see the numbers are wound right off though from Joanne Lee. Our Red Beacon is just easing off the back of that group. She's not putting much work in at all. Just starting to go back a little bit further here. So Gilbert now going to be finding some company. John Lee just heading back. So here we are. It is Emma and Joe. Now, Emma's saying to Joe to go on. Joe, I think, may well be wanting a break at the back. You never know. And that Red Beacon bus has got to form at some time. No waiting. I love it. John Lee's like, no, I'm the Red Beacon. I'm waiting. You can link him or get some company whether you like it or not. Love it. The support from our riders for each other is absolutely brilliant. And got to say, definitely love our Red Beacon. It is brilliant. The whole community... really the reason why we run the Donny Chaingang, let's face it. We'd be mad to otherwise. So here we go, the gang dropping down. They're going to take this right-hand turn, just up above Emma, our beacon here. Joe Jarvis tucked in with this group, just coming into that right-hand turn. So this is where they join, where they set off. They set off actually just behind them now. And they're coming down in along that marine speed. And the go has gone. It's gone really early. Not even completed one full lap at the moment. And it looks like the pressure is being absolutely applied here. The Red Beacon just detaching back and forming the bus. And the Yellow Beacon takes advantage and calls what is going to be a relatively long one here tonight. The pressure is on at the front. You can see all this. It is snowing, personal best down here. The confetti really starting to fall on our riders now. Looks like Monica Dew at the moment just caught in no man's land here. There's Inslee Morn and Porter James are just detached from that front group. They're going to need to squeeze to get back into it, and I think Monica just easing right off the pedals there. Could well be that the goal rider is going to be out and racing later on. So Monica just dropping back a touch. Pit Morn now, along with Porter James, trying to hang on to super strong sprinter Sonia as she heads up to try and catch on to that group. Soden is in the back of this group, as is Taylor. We've got looks to me like Davena, the Aeonian squad in there. Cole in, as we would expect. The Terminator, last night's fastest female rider, Tracy Seeley herself in this gang. It really is a who's who of the Donny Chaingang, and you can see behind Sonia is working her socks off here to get back in, but it is an almost impossible task once you get dropped from a group. Just like in real life, it's a case of trying to hang on to the finish. Sonia out on that really tough route last night, going over the epic KOM and finishing down at the jungle. Now just being distance now. The encouragement coming from Emma behind, and look at that, Sonia's responding. I suspect there may be a sneaky weight up here by the group in front, to be brutally honest. Let's have a little look. Yeah, you see these numbers that everyone's got. Do you know what? She's not with us. We're going to give her a chance here. So is the chase going to happen? You can just see Porter, James and Morn forming a group of two. They've got the red beacon at 18 seconds back. Inslee still 4 seconds off that group, and Inslee's just eased off that pressure. The sprint didn't get her back on, and I think it's going to grow now. That group is indeed it's 5 seconds now, and it's starting to stretch out. So Inslee now will need to find a group, spin those legs in to the finish, and let's see what attrition happens at this group now at the front on the gang as they come through. Nicholas Soden just moving up through the group. Bratton now at the back of the group in that Belgian beer kit, tucked on the back. There's the Belgian Zwift rider, so reminiscent of the classic script that you get on there. So let's see everybody later on. So it'd be easier day for Sonia, of course, one of our regulars on the Chaingang. Always great to see a super strong sprint Sonia. Might get a new nickname, which isn't as many S's by the time we go into the end. Known to always put a kick in at the finish, no matter where she's out on the group. Now, leading the group are in here. Who is taking up the running? Amy Gornell again. You can see just how strong the pro Notch rider is in here. Their national champion on the squad, Joe Tindley, taking a win by some margin. Really interesting pictures going up on the social media feeds. Looks really close. It's a classic thing from the angle of most of the pictures, which is a head-on shot. Looks super close. When you actually see the gap that she had, huge. The downhill cycling coach rider, and in fact coach for downhill cycling as well. Tindley really did show just how fast she is now. Looks like the red is going to ease to 2.5. As on the front, Gornell now, Coldclough starts to come on. Can they start to stretch the elastic? Can they start to make people suffer behind? And it looks like there's another rider's legs have gone pop here. I think it's going to be Taylor. Taylor now gone from that group. It's whittling down at the front. So Taylor off the bike here. Good to see Ruth Taylor, a really great rider off-road. And always great to see Ruth at the races in real life. Ruth now dropping to one side. Soon going to see Inslee and the duo of Morn and Porter James coming past. The leading group, though, being whittled down now. The rider at the back of this group is Tamara, I think, just chasing on with Seeley. They're just the back of this group. If we take a little bit of a look at the overhead angle, Bratton is in the black on the left-hand side, squeezes in the churn, as it's known in this group. That's constant on to the front and back off again. Really indicative that everybody taking the turn. Just watch for the people who don't go up to the very front. They're maybe not going on quite as quick. Now through goes the yellow beacon, but very quickly Amy Gornell on there, picking up that pace. She's not messing about tonight. Gornell already wants to pick it up, and it shows you just how fast the beacon came off. Now Celia at the back. She needs to tuck in. You saw that experience in playing on as with the DCG Addict. is now steadily making her way back into the midst of that bunch as she pushes back on those pedals. And at the back, it's Nicholas Soden. Soden in the orange kit, just trying to stay nicely and then not expend too much energy as Soden now pushes on a little bit of the front, moves up towards the front, comes alongside Amy Gornall. So this pace is really quick here, 40 kph, 25 mile an hour, basically 28k covered, 47 minutes in. How long will our riders dare lead if they're going off and racing? It's suddenly going to decimate the field when these starts come into the due to race as well. Great to see the riders who are racing coming and supporting the Chaingang on the very last WOWDCG. Going to be really interesting to see who's left at the end. So Soden on the front, squeezing those pedals, kicks in to the front and then just eases off as through comes, I think it's going to be Joe Jarvis and Bratton moving through. And again, Gorner goes up onto the front. Seeley, I think, just being careful. And the rider who is really quiet here, Alison Kinlock, is there or thereabouts, sitting in the draft a lot of the time. Is she going to be the rider who absolutely nails this? Now, a little bit further back, looks like Gilbert and Lee are just trying to work their way up. I think Ruth Taylor may well have had a tech drop out there. To see if Ruth's got the message board working. Gilbert and Lee are in front, and Taylor's got the power to get back to that red beacon group, I would imagine. I think it was an enforced stop there for Taylor. She's back up and riding in front, 25 seconds in front of the beacon. It's going to be the Inslee, Morn and Porter James group. So these three riders working well together. This is going to be really interesting to see how that holds right at the front. The rider leading this group through, it is Amy Gornall leading the Donny Chaingang. So Sonia, Becky and Pip ticking along at just sub 3 watts per kilo, which is pretty smooth. Ruth Taylor having a dropout is going to truck on and see how close she can get on to the riders in front. Going to be really interesting now. Joanne Lee's just going to just ease back. Taylor's going to come at a fair old pace, I suspect. She's no slouch when it comes to putting her foot down on the bike. We know she's got the pace and the power to be right up in the mix as this group, the Yellow Beacon group with the boss, keeping an eye on everybody, moving its way up and through. Time for me to rehydrate. I'll be back in 1 second. Time for going to be some OTE. Can't do coffee non-stop, honest gov. So our riders continue onwards. They are away from the island. They are across and on to the coastline. The land just giving way to the side of the shore, and you can just see the tide out and the Mont Saint Michel in the distance behind our riders, just coming out from behind those trees. So at the moment, as the riders go in and through, looking pretty smooth. This group, it's not breaking anybody off the back at the moment. And everybody, I think, content with this pace of distance 1 or 2. It's now 1 minute back to group number 2 on the road. This is group 2. It's the duo of Morn and Porter James. Sonia Inslee a little further back, just spinning those sort of later, I think, after a tough night last night on the DCG. Gilbert, and it's going to be Jan Lee and Ruth Taylor. So Gilbert just continue to tick on at a pace. Lee just dropping back to pick up Taylor. Then Lee and Taylor, I suspect, will be motoring back up towards Gilbert if they can, to pick up Emma on the way through. Meanwhile, up at the front, still this group holding together. Now we turn inland fairly shortly, in fact, and we will then start to head up towards the Pavé Sprint and the Aqueduct KOM. We've still got another couple of legs out on the shoreline to go before that turn inland and up the side of the river. At the moment, this group holding together, and no real gaps going. Now Coldclough goes over the top of the riders up onto the front. She's put down a massive kick here and has gone clear. So Coldclough showing just why she represented us at the championship. She's gone hard, and behind you can see the chase is on. The yellow beacon's trying to pull her back here. Coldclough has put in a massive dig here. Charlotte Coldclough, a regular from the Donny Chaingang, kicking out some big numbers. She's holding 6 watts a kilo here, over 6 watts a kilo here. She went clear at just over 8 on the numbers by the look of it, and just holding off the chase at the moment. Kinloch is behind and is currently sitting just sub 4 as through over the top. We now see Tamara Devine starting to push. Devine looking to close that gap down. Is the Belgian woman going to be able to close the gap? This is going to be close. This group, you can just see the massing numbers behind. The Coldclough has got the gap. Remember, Coldclough has to leave to go a race, but she really has put the cat amongst the pigeons. She's gone off the front. She's an absolute class act when it comes to turning those pedals, and great to have her on board on the Chaingang, on the Donny Chaingang, and on the WOWDCG, the Great Britain rider representing us at the 2022 World Esports Championships. Now on the front of the Donny Chaingang here on the WOWDCG live on the Donny Cycling YouTube channel, and the rider at the front showing real fast pace here. The heart rate 181 beats a minute, the cadence sitting at 80 revs per minute, 200 and 780 watts. Now eases back off those pedals as we see behind that bunch are going to start to pull that gap down really quickly. Those 8 seconds are going to disappear real quick. You can see that yellow beacon behind. Not sure she's going to make it to the Riverside Run. She'll definitely make it over the first of the bridges on the right-hand turn. She potentially could make the second bridge, but definitely not going to make it up along the Riverside. You can now start to see Amy Gornall leading that bunch again. Take 2 seconds, quarter of that time gap already eradicated. Half of the time gap gone now as Gornall leads the chase. She's trying to pull her back. Coldclough will go past now. It's Coldclough. She's heading off a last-minute snack. Have fun. Well, Gornall is closing it down. They're going to go over the top, and I think we're going to see Coldclough leave. So great to have Charlotte, one of our keen supporters, on here. Remember, of course, we've had riders right from the very first winner of the stage of the Women's Tour de France on Zwift on the esports platform, coming across and riding with April Tacey and riding on the very first WOWDCGs, and a member of the Donny Chaingang Sports Club DCG gang as well. Great to see April really progressing in her race career and racing so strongly in the classic. Charlotte Coldclough, another class act in with us now. Amy Gornall just tucked on the back of this group. Are we going to see the Pro Noctis rider taking the win here tonight? Will it be one of the Aeonian squad who is going to spoil the party? Is Kinloch, the rider who has stood as a yellow beacon. Now pushing, gets onto the wheels. Here we go. Are they going to break clear? We're going to see a little bit of a gap go. Kinloch starts to push harder here. Remember, we have the pavé sprint, we have the aqueduct climb, and then it gets really, really fast on the run out into those little roller coaster rises and falls. It's just a slight up and down. It's more like the teacups than anything at Alton Towers, but it is enough to break up those riders. So we'll see if that's going to be the case as they come into that sprint. This the long run in through the sunflowers with the Von Top in the distance. Are we going to see a breakaway move go? It's going to be really interesting to see. Now the guys viewing on YouTube, I think they've got a side bet going about who's going to take the win this time. We had Tracy Seeley. I think that was her first fastest finish Not going to guarantee that one because we can't always keep track of all the riders on the way through. But her first female finisher yesterday on what was one of the hardest Donny Chaingangs for a while, with the special course using the bigger loop. Will it be Seeley this time around? Well, only time will tell. In through the sunflowers we go. And the pace just starts to wind again up to 42 kph. It's pancake flat here. But at the moment, just starting to get a little bit quick. You can just see our riders are keeping the pressure on. Kinloch now, Gornell on the front. The two riders in those plum colour jerseys just really picking up the pace. We're just in with Kinloch, 151 beats per minute, 68 revs per minute. Just continuing to push. Looks like Taylor, Porter-James and Lee all together in the red beacon group. So the yellow beacon group up the road. The red beacon working well together. So we've got all three riders in our red beacon together. We have two riders sandwiched in between in the shape of Becky Porter-James and Pip Morn. And then we have the yellow beacons group at the front. There's a few people saying they're not okay in that front group, and I am not surprised, because this is tough stuff. And they come in underneath the pave sprint this time round. Last time, the fastest time was 33.66. 2 seconds taken off that. Seeley goes through the fastest time there in that group. All of that front group going through at pace. Seeley, Kinloch, Devane. Chloe goes through from the Aeonian squad. Her teammate Joe Jarvis and Emma. The yellow beacon going through. Gornell Soden in as well. That fast speed up at the front. This is going to be really interesting. I'm not sure who my money's going to be on out of this group. No power up for the yellow beacon. That's very depressing. Clearly wasn't squeezing hard enough on those pedals. So power up's going to be absolutely critical, particularly if you're on the limit. If you've got plenty to spare in the tank, then you don't need to worry about them. And they can be played offensively and defensively as well by using your power up at the said time. Offensively, you tend to use it when you're going on the attack to enable you to get a gap to make everybody else's life hard. Defensively tends to be when you're on the back of the group or you're off the back and you really need that. Or you've gone on the attack and then you're using them to recover when you get pulled back into the group. So the draft are very effective on that. Watch this space, because for developments, we have quite a few things in the plans already for next year. Myself and Russ will be sitting down with all of our yellow beacons as well and taking some ideas on board. We've already got quite a few already out and talking about routes for next season, and Emma already keen to put in a few new routes. Lots of support, of course, from the riders as well, which is great to see. The Chaingang really is a combination of all of our riders. Now on to this little climb we go. This is where anyone who's feeling fast and light is going to be able to stretch it, and it is again an Aeonian rider now. Devan goes on the front. Tamara wanting to stretch this. Tamara putting the pressure on, but behind Seeley instantly answers that move. Goes on to the back wheel of the Aeonian rider now. Jarvis comes over the top, and Jarvis, who really found herself bested by Seeley yesterday, now starts to put the pressure on the front as we come around this turn. We're not into the climb, the time climb proper, but now it comes, and this is where it's going to get interesting, because you can just see Jarvis puts the kick now. The yellow beacon goes over the top, and I think the Aeonian squad are doing, or taking it in turns to attack the rest of the riders, and it's starting to distance riders. Bratton has gone off the back, and it looks to me like Kinloch caught on the wrong side of the gap. She must be confident she can get it back. At the moment that group has gone, they've got a little bit of a gap, but the push from Bratton is going to see her make contact here. And is it going to be the case that push is enough to distance Chloe, to distance Alison? Kinloch as they come over the top. Kinloch probably feeling the effects of the endurance mountain bike race, the dirty look at the 6-hour race that was in Cannock chase as they came through now. Jarvis goes through over the top. She's got the gap. Got to go because she's due to race. She takes the fastest time up there, 45 seconds. Fast time actually go to an event on the way through. So the Aeonian squad losing riders here as they go through, and now it looks like it is going to be Emma and Tamara from the Aeonian squad. So we have Emma, our yellow beacon from the Aeonian squad. We got Tamara in there from the Aeonian squad as well with that polka dot jersey. We've got Tracy running in the blue jersey, in the dark blue of the Rafa squad there. We've got Julie Bratton in the black with that Belgian Zwift Riders black jersey, white writing across the back. Also in this group, the legend that is Amy Gornall. Absolutely class rider, and could well be the rider who is going to be putting them under pressure. But don't discount Nicholas Soden. Soden in here, and Soden, and a fast class act on the bike, now moves up onto the front, really pushing. Second fastest time on that climb. Clearly got the power in there. Who is going to take the win as they come into the line? Are they going to take Gornall to the line? Is Gornall going to attack them? Remember, this the run down into the real flat section before they come out and round those turns. Looks like Kinloch is out of the running here on the wrong side of that gap, going over the top, and probably still paying the price. Will be in recovery, I would imagine, from the race, but continuing to push that gap. Only about 5 seconds. It looks like our yellow beacon just tucked on the back. Kinloch at 3 seconds. Now, who's going to take this win out? You can just see this gang. It is now down to our leaders. They come through town. They're across the road here. Hardly anybody wanting to push them. Bratton now pushes over the top. So Bratton goes over the top of that group, but very quickly Tamara Deven of the Aeonian race team answers that, but on her heels is last night's fastest rider. It is Tracy Seeley, the Terminator, looking to eliminate the competition, but Gornall goes over the top now. How late dare they leave this? We're going to come in towards the chateau. You just see it just in front of the riders now. We come away from that. We go past the junction that takes us up on to the Petite KOM. We don't entertain that climb in the slightest. We turn right and we go into the Ballon Sprint. And at the moment, I think Gornall is just saving her legs at the back. Look at this. Gornall and Sudden, the two riders who have probably ridden more pro races than anybody else in this group, now just letting those legs just ease off, letting the pace drop down, and just making sure they're ready for this final sprint. So it's going to come down to who can lead this into the finish. Is it going to be an attacking ride into the finish? Are we going to see it? Oh, we have. Oh, the Yellow Beacon's not content with them all, just taking it easy. She's gone and challenged them. And the last ride of the day, she said, we're not just rolling into the finish. This is where you've got to work for it. So Emma goes on the front here. And who's going to be able to answer this attack? It looks like Deven's got power, but Seeley's pushing 6 watts per kilo here in the chase. So is Deven. And they're closing down the Yellow Beacon now. Are we going to see a classic counter-attack coming over the top? We're seeing the riders coming up at pace. Gornall's going to be the rider who goes over the top first. Has she got the pace to go over and make it stick, though? They've still got plenty of distance to go. We're just in with Amy Gornall. She's got a slight gap. She could push this home if she's got the power, but I think it's a long way to go. You can see the balloons up in the air. That Ballon Sprint is not far away. They come around this turn. We're going to pull our map top right-hand side of your screen to a 3D map. It's our way of just getting the quick view up. We are hoping that we're going to be able to get in with the sprint. We can see that banner as soon as possible, but this group is back together. 6 riders: Amy Gornall, Nicholas Soden, Emma Payne. It is going to be Tamara Deven, Julie Bratton and Tracy Seeley. There are 6 riders in the squad. Gornall in that burgundy colour jersey for the Pro Knox Hadikiartson squad. Soden in the orange. You've got Tracy Seeley in the dark blue with the pink and silver bands across her back. You've Julie Bratton in the black with the white writing across the back. Then the 2 Aeonian riders. We have our Yellow Beacon. That is Emma in there. And we have Tamara Devane. And look at this. I think we're going to start to see a little bit of messing about here. Bratton has gone over the top. Now Seeley starts to wind it up. That sprint is going to come. You're going to see, first of all, the barriers on the right-hand side. Then there's a gap. Then there's the banner. And it looks like it's Seeley who's holding the front. But the beacon is starting to push once again. Pulls it up onto the front. And is Bratton going to take this? At the moment, Soden is at the back. She's going to sprint from the back of the group if she plays this smart. But how late dare she await with the company of riders like Goddard? And it looks to me like Seeley has put in the early kick there, just testing the leg, so she backs back off again. She's put the draft in, and they've made her put the draft in early. It's not going to be to her advantage. She's got nobody in front. Now Seeley kicks again. The push is coming. Bratton is coming. Gordon is distanced here. This is the final sprint in. Who's going to take this? They're coming into the line. It's going to be tight. Oh, and it looks like it's going to be Gordon who just takes it. We said she was out of it. She wasn't. She absolutely timed that to perfection. Look at that. Amy Gordon taking the fastest time there by half a second, taking the win, just pipping Tracy Seeley, who took victory last time around. Amazing finish to the right. Great to see our riders pushing through. Alison Kinlock comes in just behind them. So Golden, Soden, followed by Payne, Seeley and Bratton, the top six. Kinlock takes 7th place. As we see Chloe now, whose legs just not staying all the way in to the finish. Just easing off those pedals, got the run in to go. So great riding, absolutely storming sprint. Amy Gonnell taking the win in the Chaingang. Excuse me. That looks like... Tamara not watching the screen or not getting the messages come up, but unaware that that was the finish. Plenty more rides to come. So great way to finish the Chaingang indeed, as Alison Kinlock has said. As our next rider is going to be Chloe from the Aeonian race. We're going to say a big thank you to everybody on the Aeonian race team who has supported the Donny Chaingang and all of our riders who've been on. They've done an amazing job in looking after each other and ensuring that the rides are great fun for everybody and really supportive. So thank you very, very much. And our riders in and through. Chloe going in through the line. A warm down coming up behind. I think a Pit Mormon with a gap of 17 seconds to Lee with that red beacon group. The red beacon group, though, already coming into that turn. There's not that much time between our riders. Pit Mormon's going to be our next rider in to the finish. So whilst Pippi's on her way in, we're going to try and catch up with our yellow beacons simultaneously. Always dangerous. Emma, how are you doing? That says everything.
You just caught me. That was a lot of hard work, that last half lap.
That was absolutely brutal. And got to say, everybody who's joined us done an amazing job. Big thank you to Alison Kinlock, of course, for being a yellow beacon for us on the way through. But everybody all the way through the ride did an amazing job. Great to see Pip Moore on again, one of our real regular riders.
Oh, it's been fabulous, everybody tonight. It's been a really, really good end to the season and end to the winter run of the Women's Only Wednesday. So those riders who have joined us every week, those riders who have been able to pop in and pop out, and those who decided to put a big interval effort in before they went off to race tonight to ensure their warm-up was complete.
Excellent. Look, once the go, Scott, it's up to you whether you race. If you want to chase them, it's up to you.
It was really good fun.
And that's what it's all about, and that is why we do it. And got to say a massive thank you to everybody who's helped make it possible, of course. We have our red beacon. It is going to be Joanne Lee, who's going to be our next rider in and through. The beacons doing red beacons doing an amazing job. Thank you, everybody who's volunteered for that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Our red beacons are an absolutely amazing group of riders who come in and rip it up on the go, and then take red beacon and. Whether the espresso martinis are flowing or the chatter or they're dropping back spring riders back into the group. They've been absolutely fantastic. So thank you to each and every one of them this season.
Definitely. And just seeing Emma Gilbert coming in. Emma improving all the way through the rise. Great to see Emma Gilbert She really has supported the gang from the word go and doing an amazing job out on the road today. Ruth Taylor with a dropout and real DCG Spirit Real WOWDCG group going back and looking after Ruth, just pulling her back up into the group, and that was really good to see. And of course, another rider who's in and through. I mean, everyone's done now basically, and that's Becky Porter-James on that warm down. And Becky again, a regular supporter of the WOWDCG.
Oh, I know, and there's always lots of chatter and lots of fun to be had as well as that, 20-25 minutes of hard effort.
Well, I
can't wait to come back again in the winter. I'm wishing the summer away, Matt.
Don't be doing that. Don't be doing that. This is the only break we get this year. It has indeed been. It's actually been 2 solid years of the Donny Chaingang, which does mean we are taking a break from all of the virtual Donny Chaingang officially all the way through May, June, July and August. Watch out though for in real life rides going out and about, from loads of people meeting up as friends right through to some organised rides. Watch out also for pop-up rides on Zwift, the DCG gang rides on there. And of course, don't forget that you can catch up with us in real life. You can follow Emma. Emma, what are you on social media?
Oh, I am. That's a good question. I am Biking Emma on Twitter, and Emma Payne. You'll find me on Facebook and on Instagram. And
don't forget, you can follow me at Matt Fixer Payne on Facebook, on Zwift, and of course on Strava. Far too busy doing to be on social media, really, but it's one of those evils of life these days. Emma, I'm going to let you warm those legs down and do some recovery, hopefully. The avatar's looking good. It doesn't cough on the screen, I've noticed.
Oh, no, that was hard work. Luckily, my heart rate is now dropped dramatically right down, so I'm feeling a bit better. But that was definitely a good few efforts in there.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Emma, and thank you for leading the WOWDCG.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.
So great to catch up with Emma, who's out and warming down to the end of the ride. If you want to find out what it's all about, make sure you go onto the Facebook pages of the Donny Chaingang. Get yourselves in and watch some of the YouTube coverage on the Donny Cycling YouTube channel. I'm going to be back with the DCG, the Open Donny Chaingang ride. That is tomorrow. Gritty Flanders week continues. We are in the world of Neokio and Mercury Islands in the Umezi sections out through the tunnels and right the way up to the temples and the towers of the route by the same name. So temples and towers route with the King of the Mountains finish and an ascent of every KOM in that world. On the route, it's not necessarily going to be a flat Thursday, it's going to be a fast Thursday, but it's Gritty Flanders weekend. You would expect plenty of hills on the way through. A quick reminder, make sure if you can, you join the DCG gang. That helps us keep the show on the road, replace all the bits of kit that keep wearing out, bringing you the broadcast, as well as all the work that we do behind the scenes, making sure that everybody's looked after, and the Facebook pages, and all of the rest of the ticketing keeps on going. Russ and I will be back tomorrow. The Bear should be back leading. His first time back leading after starting the family. So Daddy Bear going to be in and leading the gang tomorrow. So join me, join Russ, and all the rest of the Donny Chaingang tomorrow. From myself, Matt Payne, from Emma, and from everybody in the WOWDCG. Thank you so much for supporting the WOWDCG. Looking forward to being back in the autumn with the new series. And don't forget, of course, Tuesdays and Thursdays, the standard DCG open to all. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.